Hi, everybody on YouTube. This is right here. What you're looking at is a panel of esteemed Pearl Jam fans. And what we are going to do today is we are going to find out and determine which Pearl Jam drummers have the definitive versions of Pearl Jam songs. I'm Randy Sobel. John Farrar is right next to me. We host a podcast called Live on Four Legs, and we do shit like this all the time because we're nerds about Pearl Jam. So it happens, and it happens to the best of us. And hopefully you guys are just like us and want to see how this turns out. And a lot of people out there, you might be thinking to yourself, Dave's the best drummer, Jack's the best drummer. Nobody's better than that. And yeah, we all have those opinions, but today we're here to celebrate all three of these drummers. And unfortunately, we can't get Dave Cruzen or Matt Chamberlain into the mix on this because there's just more of a sample serving size from the other three. But we want to determine based off of their styles, based off their performances, and what we know of the songs live and on the studio recordings, what are the definitive versions for all three drummers. It's going to be an interesting debate. What we will do is we have a song that we'll pick out of the hat here. There are 22 that I have here. I have extras just in case we need to go into extra innings. What we will do, when I pick a song out of the hat, I will put it in play. Everybody has 3 pieces of paper right here. That says Dave Abbruzzese, Jack Irons, and Matt fucking Cameron. I know you all love my handwriting, so visuals are important. So the one with the most votes, if it goes through and there's the most votes, that person will definitively have that song at play. If it's a tie, we will go into a tiebreaker scenario where, say, Dave and Matt are tied. Team Dave, the guys that voted for Dave, will designate one person to debate why Dave should be the winner for that song. Same with Matt, which means the Jack people you have to try to sway their votes and try to turn them to the dark side and find a winner for that. At the end of this, we're going to find out who has the most songs and maybe find out the definitive Pearl Jam drummer. I don't think there's an answer to that, but we will get a lot of answers in general. So everybody have your papers out, papers ready. Everybody show up, everybody on camera, everybody good, ready to go. Okay. All right. And, obviously this is very obvious here, but this is basically going to be for 10 versus Vitalogy and a couple of extra songs because that's what we're serving. That's all we have with this. We can't do no code. We can't do yield because that wouldn't be fair to Dave Abbruzzese. So, all right. Everybody ready? The first song in play. It's a good one. Black.
Ooh.
You know what black is?
Yeah.
Hey, Shannon, can you be our counter? Can you see everybody?
I don't see everybody on one screen.
You don't? Okay.
Well,
All right.
maybe I can change my view.
So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Binaural means Cameron. 7, 8. Mark, I can't see. That's Cameron. 9.
Yeah.
That's 9 for Matt fucking Cameron. And I see 3 for Dave and 0 for Jack. 9 to 3 to 0.
What can you say? He's the machine.
Yeah.
Okay, now I can be your counter. Now I see everybody.
Okay, if you want to play counter, that would be a huge help. 9. So
Okay.
Black is definitively, that's the first song on the board, and it's definitively a Matt Cameron song. And that's interesting because I went into this thinking that a lot of the arena songs, the big hit songs, would probably go to Cameron. I'm interested to see how that all turns out. But real quick, one person shout out your favorite performance of Black. We'll do this after every song.
San Jose 95, even though I chose Matt.
For Berlin
call.
2010.
That'd probably be mine. I would think a lot of people listening would probably say that Unplugged would be the one, and
Unplugged in MTV's face.
nobody would argue with that at all. But there are
Lots of people know Black from the Black version. That's true.
yeah, and you know I think you can pick out of the 500, 600 times it's been played, you can pick a good 300 of them and probably not be wrong. So Black is a Matt fucking Cameron song. The next song, I'd rather be with an animal. All right, everybody's picked.
7.
1, 2, 3. I
One
got
for me.
3 for Jack. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for Dave, and 1 for Matt. Another pretty decisive one going in Dave's direction here. Why, for the people that picked Dave, why Dave for this one? It's an obvious pick, but why Dave?
Just look at the MTV performance. He's just firing on all cylinders. That's the best example. That's just his song right there.
I like what Brian just said, and I'll say to you, Randy, from listening to your podcast recently, I've heard so much 90s.
We have had a lot of 90s, and anytime you have a 90s show, Animal is going to be there. And yeah, that's the time where you want Animal. I chose Jack. Jack, just for me, is so good on the Versus songs. I don't know if that's
underrated.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to come into play more. It might, but anybody, what's your favorite version of Animal out there? Obviously, somebody mentioned the VMAs. That's probably the one, but does anybody have a favorite version of Animal?
The Seattle Vault.
That's a good one.
November 30th.
Yes, that's a very good one.
St.
Solid.
Pete's 94 is also a gem.
We just did that show.
Yeah, I know. It's one of my favorites.
All right.
Yeah, hey guys, sorry I joined a bit late. Just the problem with Zoom and the passwords and stuff.
It's all good, man. You're here. Let's
Yeah.
get going on to the next song. Let's get going on to the next song. All right. The next song is not an album song. State of Love and Trust. I have a feeling this one might be overwhelming.
What do you want to input time again?
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 for Dave. 1, 2 for Matt, 3 for Matt, and 2 for Jack. So actually that's 9 for Dave, 3 for Jack, 2 for Matt, 3 for Matt, 2 for Jack.
3 for Matt. 2 for Jack.
It was very overwhelmingly Dave Abbruzzese again.
Yeah.
So what, and this is one a lot of people have criticized in current day because they think it's too fast of a song. They like State of Love and Trust with that groove. They like it kind of opened up a little bit. There's a part that they used to play back in 91, 92, where Jeff kind of had this little open bass line that went into Mike's solo. They don't do that part anymore. So that's all with Dave A right there. Anybody have a favorite version of State of Love and Trust?
Metro 1991.
Metro 91. Wow.
That's the song that got me hooked onto Pearl Jam. Never even heard of the group until then.
Wow. Oh, that's right. You've been to like 100. You were at like 100 shows before 1994.
That Louisville 94 was my 20th.
Wow,
Okay.
that's insane. So once again,
I'm sorry. If you want to go on, you can go on. I was just gonna say, can my favorite song differ from my choice?
of course.
All right. So I was gonna say favorite performance, Orpheum, State of Love and Trust, but I voted for Matt just because I don't think Dave would be able to have kept going like Matt has because he's just in such good shape and so consistent.
Good call. I like that.
He's key.
For Jack, Melbourne 98.
Good one.
Yes.
Free of suggestion.
Vault 1 is really good too. That Seattle show. The
Yes.
117 is a great version too.
Yep. Indeed.
I would say Unplugged illustrates everything that we talked about in terms of Dave on State of Love and Trust 100%. So
Agree.
Yep.
Yep.
Shout
I
out.
can't disagree
Yeah.
with any of those
I
points.
agree.
Salt
Drop in
Lake
the
City
park.
95.
Wow, that's one of my underrated favorite shows right there.
They drop in the park.
Of course, yes. State of Love and Trust, 9 to Dave. I believe it was 3 to Matt, 2 to Jack. Overwhelmingly, Dave Abbruzzese once again. A lot of these songs, they're his era songs. It might just turn out this way. Especially with the next song, I think, let's see what happens with this. Why Go Home? Ooh. Okay. Let me carefully count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for Dave. This might be a tie. A straight up tie. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 for Matt. That was close.
Ooh.
No votes for Jack in this. So the people that voted Matt on this one, and it's funny because nobody voted for Jack, and there's a reason, because they stopped playing this around the time in 1995, 1996. They didn't play this again until 2003, where this kind of became more of a festival song, more of an arena song with Matt. So I'm interested to hear from the Matt people, why Matt on this one?
You mentioned
Go ahead.
it's a hell of a festival song. My favorite version, Lollapalooza 07, opens the show. Absolutely rips.
I was going to say my favorite personal version was opening up the Halloween Spectrum show. Same sort of thing. Just throwing down the gauntlet and game on.
Absolutely.
Exactly. That was mine.
Absolutely.
And again, that's another one to Matt thing. Like, you can consistently go, like, so many of my favorite versions are him live. You can expect, like, he's going to be good on it.
100%. Anybody from the Dave side, obviously this is like a Dave special here. This is where he hits the hardest. This is where he sounds really good. And really early on, you kind of get the sense that this was going to become one of those call and response songs. It was one of the very, very early call and response songs from 91 on. So from the Dave people, why was it Dave for this one?
I mean, I don't think anything beats the way he can slap a snare drum. I think that's almost all the appeal of what Dave is as a drummer, and Wygo is obviously a big place where that stands out. I think that there's a good argument for Matt, though, even though I did vote for Dave. There's a good argument for Matt, though, in the sense that if you listen to his drumming pretty consistently, it sounds like it's built for an intro like Wygo, and that's why I feel like a lot of people voted for him. But it's hard to beat that sound that you get in those early shows.
Yeah, Dave just cracks on it. Like, Matt's good. He did a good job of, like you said, bringing the song back, and he there's nothing wrong with the way he plays it. But Dave was on another level with the song. It lost a little something when he left.
I think I agree with that. I think when it kind of got brought back, there was an awkward phase in like 2003, 2006. And then I think by that 2008, almost before Backspacer era, the song started to open up and really be special again. So yeah, they've gotten it down. It's a song they play almost every night. Everybody's familiar with it. It's a TED song. So, but that score was 8 to Dave and 7 to Matt. Jack has had 2 goose eggs in this. Let's get Jack a win. I don't know if it's going to come with this one, but I'll be intrigued to find out who will pick who for go. Yeah, this is overwhelmingly Dave here. very obvious this is a Dave song, and by there's no, by any stretch of the imagination he wrote the song.
I mean, Randy, you and I are on the same page on a lot of these.
Yeah, it's because we've done a lot of Jack shows lately, and we've talked a lot about Jack, and that's sort of where I got the idea and desire to do it, because I love Jack's version of Go, and the way that he just hits the hi-hats kind of in between when Ed's singing the verse run. It's so good, and it's so underrated, and it has like a groovy rhythm to it.
Yeah, he had such a knack for like you said, those rhythms and doing really interesting things. And he's always, like I always say he's always going to the next beat, and he's always pushing things forward. And it really hits on those songs. Go's one of them.
So there were no votes for Matt and that. Everybody else, Dave, and this is very obvious, but I'll give it to anybody that wants to come to Dave's defense here, and why is this such a Dave song? It's pretty obvious that of course he kind of kicks ass on it.
It's Dave's song because it's Dave's song, right? I mean, that's like the one that he's famous for writing. That the whole riff is his. Even if it's a little bit of a Wygo ripoff, I'll give it to him. It's just such a powerhouse, right in his wheelhouse.
It's one.
It's just sorry. You go ahead.
Oh, okay. It was one of the songs back in the earlier days when it was played. Your eyes immediately went to the drum kit. Like it was like he was the only one at stage, for the majority of the song, and that's like everyone else said. It's just a quintessential Dave song.
It's best when opened with or coming right out of a release and kind of getting you juiced to start the show. Absolutely. I picked Jack, but I'm not surprised that it's overwhelmingly Dave on that. Dave right now is he's rocking this. It's 4-1 to 0. Dave has 4, Matt has 1, Jack has 0. However, this next one is interesting. Let's see if the tide and the streak kind of ends. Spin, spin, spin the black circle. Ooh. Okay, it looks like we might get one for our good buddy Jack Irons here.
Torn. I have 2 pieces of paper in my hand right now.
Well, let's see.
I almost have 3 pieces of paper in my hand right now.
Bagel, what'd you have? 9 for Jack, 10 for Jack. I got 10 for Jack and 3 for Matt and none for Dave A. Ooh.
Take that, Dave.
Okay. Melbourne 98 sold it for me for Jack. Like, that's an incredible performance. How freaking fast he can get on that song and just build that pace and ramp up in that bridge and just kind of allow for McCready's solo to match him. How often does that happen?
Self-pollution radio too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Jack had it from the beginning. Self-pollution, Piss Bottle Man, those are already excellent.
The Matt people, any what's your argument on Matt for this one?
I just think longevity. I still think that song still has the heat. I don't think he plays it too fast or too slow. It's the right tempo, and I just think it's become a staple, even more so in the last 20 years.
Anybody have a favorite version of Spin the Black Circle? I mentioned Melbourne 98. That's probably one of my favorites.
I don't know. I can't remember which MSG it was, but they've been playing Spin the Black Circle in the recent era, like later in the set, like in encore sometimes, like second encore. One of the MSGs, they played in the second or third encore, and Eddie was like exhausted. And then Matt steps up and just from the first millisecond, bam, like, and I mean, that to me is why like he should get that song.
It's definitely right. I mean, like Matt's longevity with this and playing, he's the only one that's got like 30 plus songs consistently in this. So wonder how much that's going to come into play, but that is Jack's first song. It's now 4-1 to 1 with Dave. If you had Dave on your scorecard, I'm sure a lot of you did. Dave is up by much here. Let's see what the next.
Hey Randy. Sorry. Did you say there was none for Dave on Spin the Black Circle?
Did you vote for Dave?
Yeah, I
You
voted
did.
for Dave.
Okay, then I'll
Only
put you down for-
because, thanks. Only because I just think of him with so many of these songs, just from like a visual perspective. Like it's always him there. From was he around for much of '94, or did he?
Yeah, he was around
just
all of '94 before getting kicked out of the band when Vitalogy was good. So yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Look, I think that's a great argument, and obviously the Vitalogy record, you know, he kills it on that, and that won a Grammy. It's the only song that won a Grammy, and he participated on that. So
yeah, that is true.
all right, the next one will be very interesting. This one, Dave has only played live, I think, twice, but we do get an album version. It's Better Man. One, two, three, four. Oh, this is overwhelmingly Matt Cameron with one vote for Jack, and it looks like one vote for Dave. Yeah, I think I kind of teed it up before. These big arena sounding songs are the ones that fit Matt the best, the ones that can get up to 8 or 9 minutes, and especially this one where you get a big save it for later tag and kind of building back in and kind of building a strong finish to the song, which might finish your encore or even kind of get you into the finish of an encore. Better Man is definitely Matt Cameron special.
Pittsburgh 2000, perfect version.
Yes.
I was going to say Philly Night 1 2000 is to me the ultimate version. 9/1 2000.
2000.
It's got the perfect save it for later tag.
I go back to State College. I love the save it for laters where you can go into the actual song from the beat. Yep. And State College, when they break down into that, is just incredible. Obviously, popular show, famous show, and that's the one I usually go to for that.
Yeah, that build up at State College, which Matt just kind of leads towards the end, is fucking crazy.
Yeah. All right. So Matt has now broken the tie with Jack, and it's now 4-2-1. Let's see. Oh, I think this might be the toughest one to pick so far. Rearview Mirror.
Ooh.
All right. I'm seeing a lot of Matt, but I'm also seeing some Dave. And John is not having a vote right here. Is he?
I'm thinking.
Okay. Well, so far, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 for Cameron. I got 1, 2. Hold on, keep them up. I didn't finish counting. I got at least 3 for Dave. So this is 4 for Dave since John has it, and 1 for Jack. Look at that. So yeah, once again, another big arena song. And I think I go back to just the bridge with this song and how they can build off of this. And then when Matt's really the one that's the driving force behind the song, when you build up into that and Jeff gets that bass line going, that's some of the best versions of Rearview Mirror to me. But I like, you can't discount what the other two guys have done off of this either, because some Jack versions of this are freaking incredible as well.
I harken back to, I think Matt gets credit for 2 things in that song, bringing it to a new level, extending the middle jam there, whether it's a lot of energy or kind of psychedelic like they've done, and then the double extended ending when they decided to extend that to do 4 more measures over the past, since 98 or so. I think it just brought that song to a whole new level. And I think my favorite version, it's etched in my brain, Boston Night 2, 2006, when the strobe lights were going off. And you can, if you listen to the bootleg, you can hear it right before it ends. Mike was up on the amp soloing, the band's jamming. I remember looking at Matt, and Matt was just crushing the drums in the final section there. And you can hear the crowd getting caught up in it before the song ends. It's like that scene of them with the strobe lights going off is just etched in my brain. It was just magic.
And one of the things about that bridge that I just love is that it has so many different personalities. You mentioned kind of the psychedelic version of it, but it could also just be a complete rocker. It can be like a Who song. It can kind of have this like soaring atmospheric vibe that kind of sounds maybe a little bit Beatlesy. We've talked about a lot of this before. Buenos Aires 2005 is the one to listen to. It's about 15 minutes long. And that bridge is probably about 10 minutes of that. It is
For me,
absolute
Lexington
display.
2016 is the best.
That's nice. That's a good one. Anybody else?
Like we always say, there's not a bad version.
There's not a bad
Yeah,
version.
I can throw out for Dave. I was Atlanta '94, Saturday Night Live. Even the studio version, you get him throwing the sticks at the wall at the end. Like, give the man some credit on this one.
Absolutely. We had one Jack vote for this, and that was Bagel. Why?
The song did not become what it became until Jack got into the band. The opening of that song happened when Jack Irons came in, and it would not be where it is today if Jack did not get involved. So I love all my favorite versions are all in some of the latter years because of what they've done, but that openness that occurred, it's all Jack.
So here we are. Matt is starting to kind of climb and make a comeback here. It's 4-3-1, but we got a lot of games to play.
Also, I like the Saturday Night Live version, 1994.
Mm-hmm.
I was a kid, and I remember that power and that performance really got me into it.
That's the version. I mean, everybody goes back to that one. That's the most popular version of the song. Absolutely. And there's a moment where right before they go back, right before that bass line hits, Ed kind of gives a little glance back to Dave. They kind of acknowledge each other. That's the moment you got something special going on. And that's probably one of the last really, really good moments that Dave had in the band. Next one. Ooh, this is a good one. Porch. I'm torn on this one. However, all right, I see a lot of different answers so far. All right. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 8 for Dave. I got 5 for Matt and 1 for Jack. So, yeah, I mean, you think of Porch, and this is the first song that was really extended outside their wheelhouse. The first one that kind of became a showstopper. The one where Ed was going to be able to do his antics, his stunts. Everybody knows Drop in the Park. Everybody knows Pink Pop. They kind of set him up for stuff that way. But it's also one where those builds in there, when you get to that solo part and Stone and Mike are just, driving off each other's energy, Dave is a monster. And I think that this is ultimately 100% of Dave's track.
To me, there are no losers in this one, but there's a clear winner. It's Dave. And the reason I say that is when I started becoming a bootleg collector, in the early 90s, I remember taping the Atlanta show off the radio. I still have my cassettes. I would search out, to your point, Randy, I would search out versions of Porch and I would buy bootlegs based on if it had a killer version of Porch. And there's some of my favorite ones. Zurich 92, I think is the best one of all time. But if you guys want an underrated one, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard, not the Vegas show, not the Vegas 93 show that came out as the official one, but the next night, 12-1, that version. If you want to hear Dave losing his mind in that jam, crank that thing tonight when the show's over. He is just killing it in that version. It's almost like a fish jam. It almost climbs like and builds and builds and builds. And when it ends, you're just like, you're sweating. And it's a short jam, but it showcases Dave just perfectly.
I think, Dave is fine, but a lot of it, I think a lot of that time they were kind of just vamping, letting Ed do his rafter climbing thing. And there wasn't a lot of like musicianship involved in it with Dave. I think when Cameron took over that was when, you know, they were really pushing the song musically to new heights. And yeah, you know, 2003, 2005, 2006, some great versions in there. I think that's all Cameron pushing that song. I give it to him.
Yeah, I'm going to cut you off just for a second because I want to throw this out there. The one thing that I have against Matt for this song is just Porch kind of became stagnant in the later days. Like from Backspacer on, how many versions of Porch are just kind of just the same? Like that's not a
Totally
bad
agree.
thing per se. But when you're going to these shows, you know you're going to get Porch. It's kind of inevitable. You kind of want something different, but it kind of ends up being, and it's a good thing because you like to know what to expect at these shows, but it was always unpredictable with Dave, and that's probably why I picked him.
I was just going to say, you know, when you go to the musicianship, you know, factor, you know, you have Unplugged. And then if you go just to the pure like athlete banging on the drums, the show in Florida, I think it was Pensacola, going with the really long Porch where he talks
St.
about
Pete's.
murdering, somebody should be murdered or something.
St. Pete's.
Yeah,
that's St. Pete. Yep.
And you talk about an athlete just getting behind it, like being natural. He was like an octopus, you know, that show.
I will say one of my favorite all-time versions of Porch is actually Bonnaroo from 2008, and it's less for the drummer aspect and more for Ed's speech in the middle of it. That's probably my favorite Ed speech of all time. If you haven't heard it yet, that was at a time where things were changing in the world or like about to be on the verge of change, and Ed was making a point, and boy, it was a good one to check out. All right. So Dave kind of gets some separation here a little bit. It's 5-3-1. Oh, I'm looking at this one. I don't know if we'll get a point out of Jack for this one. However, we're going to throw this out. This is Blood. I see some Jack. I hope that's not pity votes.
Oh, it ain't pity votes.
He's got that Soldier Field in his back pocket.
All right. This is Dave, but it's not overwhelmingly Jack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Keep them up. 7, 8, 9, 10. I got 10 Dave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I got 6 Jack and 0 Matt. So yeah, I think maybe because when you think of Blood, you think of 1993 and 1994, and maybe you think more of Ed when you think of Blood, but Dave just pounds the shit out of that song in that early era. I love when Jack plays this song, and you know, when Matt plays it too, it's kind of like a recurring thing where, you know, you're kind of playing one of the older ones. I don't know if Matt kind of puts his own spin on it, but this is Dave's. I think this was an easy one for me, but a lot of people disagreed. The Jack people, I'll put it out to you.
This is the best song they played live in 1995 and 96, and that was all Jack. And there's dozens of great versions, whether it's Soldier Field, San Jose, Salt Lake City, San Diego, Las Cruces, and then the vibe change that they had in 96 with tagging it with Fame. Just
Atomic Dog.
Yep, it just is. It's the absolute best.
I think if you ask me what's my favorite version of Porch, it depends. I can either go with an Angry Ed one and go like, well, 93, 94, you take your pick of any of those shows, really. But if you want to focus on drumming, I think to back up what he just said, like I always listen to that San Jose version, that ending feedback jam where Mike is just, you know, feeding off the amps and kind of going crazy with his wah pedal and the delay pedal, and Jack is just crushing it the entire time. And the other ones you said, you know, Las Cruces and San Diego and Chicago, that took that song to a whole different level. And I think Jack had a big part to do with that.
There's a person on that San Jose tape you can hear screaming in the crowd that might actually have spontaneously combusted from what was happening between Mike and Jack.
Just interject real quick. My wife's awesome. She got me this cool magnet.
Very cool.
So I just wanted to show it off.
Very cool.
MSG.
Sweet.
The argument for Dave, though, this is overwhelmingly Dave. So well, not overwhelmingly. Jack had some good a good showing here, but for the Dave people, why this one?
Vegas 93, Atlanta 94, the album.
I think the album does it for me too.
Yeah,
it's one of those hard songs. Like, that's his wheelhouse. That's what he does better than anything.
So I thought we were going to go into this having some ties and having some really tough conversations, but you know, while some of them have been a little bit close, it has been overwhelming. So I don't know if this next one's going to be close, but I have opinions on this one. I think a lot of people are going to have opinions on this one. This could get ugly. Last Exit. A lot of Jack love. More Jack than I expected to be. Everybody got their vote in. Yeah, this is like, I see two Dave, but this is Jack. Dave doesn't have a lot of live versions of this, and although Dave had some input of the creation of the song on the record, and that's where it really pops, Jack is the one that brought this song to life on the live stage. In 95, that might have been their best live song. And that's a statement. I'll put it to anybody else. Why Jack for this one, and what are some versions that like from that era, from 1995, 1996? There's so many that stand out.
Check out the Taipei version from the movie, right? I mean, just with Ed coming out of the cocoon thing, that version's just perfect. I think Dave never had a chance to let that song breathe. I think he had some good ones pre-Vitalogy when they started busted it out on the previous tour, and obviously the album version is amazing, but Jack turned it into a live staple, turned it into what it is.
Anybody else have some good versions that they like of this one?
Just quickly before I say my favorite version, so my friend's been helping me write answers down, and she has to leave like in 5 minutes or so. So is it okay if I just say my answer? Because I have trouble writing.
Sure, yeah, not a problem.
Thanks. And just for me, with Last Exit, I just always think of Vitalogy and just the album version, because it's just so iconic, even though I wasn't around to the 90s, even though I was born in 2000. It's just got that quality about it that you just always remember when you first heard it, and you just always remember where you were. It's just got that quality about it.
Cool.
Yeah, can't disagree with that. We got some youngins in here too.
I was gonna say, now I feel old.
Well, we got Joey in college. We got Kyle born in 2000, and we got a bunch of others. Whoever's background that is, can you please mute whoever that is?
I think that's Brandon. Just mute Brandon.
Okay.
It's okay. All good. Sorry, I forgot what I was gonna say.
All right, no, not a problem. All right, so Jack is the winner with this one.
Good.
And Jack is now has 2. I believe the score is 6. It's 6-2 to 2. I have it at.
I thought it was 5-3 to 2.
No, because Dave got blood.
Well, you said that it was 4-3 at one point, right?
Right, but we had more that we did.
But how did Cameron lose one?
Cameron didn't lose one.
But it was 4-3 at one point.
Okay. Yep. No, you're right. Rearviewmirror, Better Man in Black. Those cameras.
Okay.
So it's 6-3 to 2.
Okay.
All right. That I thought you were taking one away from Dave for me. Okay. This one's interesting. This one could go in any direction.
This is so easy.
I missed it. What was the song?
Even flow. Bagel's having a tough time deciding. John's having a tough time deciding. Mark, Ethan. I see a lot of different answers on the board here. For Matt, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Mark, what do you got? 8 for Matt. That might be enough to do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 for Dave and 1 for Jack. Yeah, look, 2006.
2006 drum solos.
That's all you need to say. And
Get it down.
yeah, and this is a song where you think about Mike McCready and you think about how good Mike McCready is with that solo, but boy, does Matt like compliment him so well in every single version. There is a reason why Ed, after every single version of Even Flow, says that's Mike McCready over there, that's Matt Cameron over there. It's because they make the damn song what it is.
I agree. I love the jams these days. Whenever someone says it's a piss break song, I think they're the craziest person I've ever met. But the one thing Even Flow is missing right now, I love watching Mike lose his mind. I love seeing Matt solo. I love the extended jams, everything. I love the sing-alongs, but I miss the swing of the original tempo of Even Flow when it had a groove to it that Dave had, Jack had, and Matt doesn't do the proper Even Flow proper justice. He does the jams, the whole thing justice, not Even Flow itself.
That's fair. That's fair.
Interesting.
Amen.
So it was pretty much Matt for that, and Matt's got 1 back on the board. It's 6 to 4 to 2 now, and that means if I could do math, that we have 10 songs to go. This is anybody's game. Jack, I don't want to say that he's a participant in this, but maybe he can come back. Let's see if the next one. All right, this one can go in any direction. Daughter.
Ooh.
I'm having a tough time with this one.
I'm gonna have to go with Dave, just purely from just like the visuals of so many versions of Daughter from the 90s. And
there's
just
Saturday Night Live in there as
there's
well.
just
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we got 3 for Dave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 for Matt. Anthony got Matt. 8 for Matt. There, I think 3 for Jack. Okay, so that's interesting. Matt takes another song that's like an arena anthem song, and when you think of the tags that they've done in recent years, and Matt's the only one that's done It's Okay. Matt's really kind of gotten into the groove of doing WMA and Another Brick in the Wall. Like, he's known for all that stuff. I picked Dave because the actual song itself, I like to separate the tag from the song. So when I think of the album version, I think of that hi-hat tap getting into the song that kind of gets you ready for it, that little kind of guitar pluck that gets you into it. I kind of love that. And we've been talking about a lot of live versions, but there are certain aspects to the recorded version of Daughter that I really appreciate just as much as I do the live versions.
Hey, Randy, the only counter I would have to that is if Matt was sitting in that chair when Dave was sitting in that chair in 92 and they recorded it, don't you think Matt could have done those same mechanisms?
You're not wrong.
Maybe.
Not wrong. Instead, he was recording Super Unknown. So
for me, yeah, the flexibility of it with Cameron gives it to him. Like, he can do everything well. He doesn't have a weak spot. We talk about how, Dave was kind of weak on some of the softer songs, and Cameron just doesn't have a weakness. And this is just suits his all around style.
That's a good point. I think with, it's unfortunate we can't do some of the songs that suit some of the other. So for example, Jack is going to get hosed because we're not going to do In My Tree and Who You Are and Given to Fly.
Yeah,
but but Matt also doesn't get some of his strong suits like sleight of hand with that subtle kind of drum work, that chill drum work, which I would love to see the other guys even try to pull that off.
Yeah.
Really
agreed with John on the versatility. The Daughter with Matt is a couple, 3 different songs depending on how they want to play it. Benaroya Hall is amazing, and that's very different than the regular 2003 tour era. So versatility alone, whether you want to count the tags or not, obviously the tags make for the best versions. Yeah.
Anybody have a favorite version of Daughter that they want to throw out there?
SGO3.
Get a little Ben Harper on that, of course.
He's the greatest band in the world.
For me, Saint Pete, 2010, I believe.
St. Pete 2010
or 20. I can't remember the year. 20.
The only St. Pete I know is 94.
2008,
Nah.
maybe.
Do you mean Pensacola?
Pensacola, yes. Thank you.
Okay.
I don't know the exact date, but I remember the version of the Against bootleg. That was one famous bootleg that came out in the early 90s, and the time when there were no YouTube videos and stuff. I growing up as a kid, re-recording it and listening over and over. That was the first time that I during Daughter see the extended jams. So for me, discovering the jam side of Pearl Jam during the Daughter for me was a discovery.
I have to throw in Jones Beach 2000.
Yeah,
Thank you. Somebody said it.
And Live on
Gorge
Two
05.
Legs.
I think it was Gorge 05 or Gorge 06, also really, really good.
Yeah, I think it was Gorge 05. I think
Yeah.
that's a good one.
Both
All right.
nights, San Diego 95.
Live on Two Legs too is great with the
Live on Two
Rock
Legs
in the
is
Free World.
Fantastic. Absolutely.
Sorry guys, I'm just kicking myself because I didn't even think about the tags, because if I know I can't change my answer, but just hypothetically, if I could, I'd put Matt down for Daughter, only because just purely based off the fact of It's Okay, because whenever they tag Daughter with It's Okay, it just makes you feel something. I can't describe what it is.
Yeah.
It's like sad happy. It's good just because like
I think
it
Kyle,
is like
you
so
need to
emotive. And
Kyle, I think you need to read the book All Encompassing Trip, because there's just chapters that just talk about It's Okay and how incredible it is and how they had it on repeat night in, night out when they were following the band on tour.
Always a good moment.
Absolutely. We have had a lot of hit songs, and Matt has had a couple. I think it's now 6-5-2. I wonder if this is going to make it a tie, because we're still in hit song range alive.
I'm gonna have to go with Matt, just purely because I feel like he, along with Eddie and the rest of the band, just changed the whole meaning of Alive, because going from what it was, just Ed still dealing with like his early life, and then after Roskilde happened, it really the meaning of Alive really changed, in my opinion. I feel like when it did change was Seattle in 2000, because they finally played it after everything that had happened.
Absolutely.
And I feel like
keep them up, you guys. I haven't counted.
Peace with everything.
Keep them up, you guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I got 9 for Matt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Dave had a good showing on this, but this is a Matt Cameron song. The game is tied. A lot of those points that Kyle was making are spot on. And this became, we talk about it on the show a lot. This became the curse breaker, this song, where the crowd just gets into it. They start chanting along, the hey chants and pumping their fists. Matt drives that during that part. And
yeah, I mean, give Matt credit for being able to keep rhythm while the crowd is doing that hey thing. Like he doesn't lose it. He's able to keep it going.
And
So,
he even
yeah,
throws little flourishes in there. He like will kind of throw a little bit of a tom hit or something like that and kind of play up that part.
Hey, who was the drummer on Stone's demo?
For Alive, that would be Matt Cameron. I had to think for a second. I thought it was Chris Friel.
Exactly. No,
Holy crap! I forgot about that. That changes. It doesn't change a lot. I guess it just makes everything sort of more full circle.
It brings it full circle.
It absolutely
exactly.
does. It absolutely does. So that ties the game. It's 6-6 to 2. We have 8 songs left, and then a couple that we can just kind of throw in for tiebreakers for fun. Let's all right.
I told you guys not to count out Cameron. He's right there.
This is interesting. This one can go in lots of different directions here. It's never one that's really left the set list. However, it's never one that is a show stealer. Maybe to some. I don't know if it's a show stealer for me. Once. I'm actually having a tough time with this one.
I'm gonna have to go with Dave just because I think of him with once just throughout like all of the 10 period.
1, 2, 3. I got 4, 5. I got 5, Matt. Keep them up, Matt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Kyle, what'd you say again? You said Matt?
He said Dave.
He said Dave? That's 7
Yeah,
Dave and 2 Jack.
Thanks.
Dave by slim margin. Or was that Matt by slim margin? I can't remember what I can. Hold him up again, everybody.
I think it was Dave 7-5.
1, 2, 3.
Something.
Yeah, I think it was
for
Dave.
me.
It was Dave. Okay. Yeah, this was a tough one. This was either between Matt or Dave for me. I picked Matt because kind of the same reasons with Alive. It kind of becomes a more crowd invested song. You know, the same kind of chanting when everybody's going back and screaming once back and forth. Dave, we covered a really good version with Dave and the 93 show that we did this past week, San Francisco, where they kind of did an extended jam on it. That's not something they really do on once at all, but that kind of showed Dave's power. So I get it. But the Dave people on this one give you the platform here.
You just hit it.
I feel like Dave, this is the perfect Dave, immature. I want to be a rock star. I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to bang the shit out of this and just mindlessly, kills it and in total rhythm and, everything. And that it just perfectly suits what I think of his personality as. I don't give a shit. Here you go.
Yeah, it's whoever's
And
going to crash the cymbals loudest at the beginning, and that's what it requires. So.
And I just think of Dave with once, just purely based off all of the 10 era.
Yeah, 91, 92. They were playing this almost every night.
Absolutely. Yep.
I think Dave did that.
This was constant.
Dave did that lead up at the end for the last chorus perfectly. Like when it's all chill there for a second, Dave just and Eddie comes in with his voice. 92, 93, 94. It's perfect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I agree.
All right. This is going to be another really tough one. I think this can go. I think it's between 2 on this one. I think this is between either Jack or Matt in my eyes. It's Corduroy.
Matt.
All right. I'm seeing a lot of Jack on the screen. I got to see all those answers though. I'm upside down. Heh. 1, 2,
Matt, for
3,
me.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 for Jack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I see 5 for Matt. And what'd you say, Kyle? You said
Matt.
You said Matt. Okay, so
Yeah,
6
I
for
did say
Matt,
Matt. Matt
and
for me.
1 for Dave. Okay, so this one goes to Jack, and that's very interesting. Vitalogy era, 1995. I think back to kind of the Soldier Field era song versions, and look, I think I like versions of Corduroy in the late 2000s better. I think they just get better with the song as time goes on. However, I think that Jack just has that original groove to it that I really, really appreciate out of the song.
There's something about Jack's mid-tempo that's very, very unique, and it's incredibly distinctly different. And I was kind of hoping it would get representation on other songs, but this one definitely meets that. So that this speed works really, really well for Jack.
How much was Jack around when they recorded that in '94? Like, was he? I mean, you guys are the more experts. Like,
well, he was kind of around at the tail end. It was like October-ish, September, October, I think. So the only thing he really got to record was Stupid Mop. And
This is another Self-Pollution Radio one. You talk about Soldier Field.
Yeah.
Even into early '98, they were just destroying. Jack was destroying the song.
any of those West Coast 95 shows.
The groove on those are so good. And there's one where Jack actually drives out an extended jam in Salt Lake the second night, and it's just
7 minutes or
unbelievable.
something. Yeah.
that's like really kind of Jack's like coming out party to like the live, everybody,
I think a lot of people that might be listening might be thinking, hey, this has kind of been turned into a song that is, more important now than it is in 1995. And I would agree with that. Like I said before, I'm going to give the Matt people a chance to kind of defend that. This is kind of the song for the, this is Pearl Jam's best song in my eyes, in a lot of people's eyes. Matt has a lot to do with it. Jack also has.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I completely agree. It's definitely one of their best songs. My favorite version of Corduroy would have to be probably 98, whatever version of Corduroy was on the Live on Two Legs CD that they did in 98. That's my favorite version.
Yeah.
I think
God.
Aside from we don't need to talk about the call and response of the last couple tours. Everyone has their opinions on that. I hope it goes away. But some of my favorite versions are the ones, they're not as long, but some of the versions in 2000, like the Montreal version after a really good Of the Girl. Mike especially, I know we're focusing on Matt, but Mike and Matt together during that ending solo come out screaming right out of the gate. There's no lead up to the solo. The two of them are in lockstep, and there's about a minute of just magic between the two of them.
Yeah.
It's a good call. And when I think of Corduroy, I think of like MSG in 2010 and just kind of the Here We Go, the show, the way you start out, the energy, and Matt brings that energy to the song, complements the song so well. So
yeah,
that ended up being a Jack song. It's 6-6-3. So no tiebreakers here. This is interesting. This is another hit. Jeremy.
I have my reasons for this one.
Yeah.
Dave, all the way.
Looks like we got a mixed crew here too. Dave's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I see about 8, Dave, 9, 10. I got like 2, 3 Jacks and no Matts. Yeah. Jeremy is definitely best in the early 90s, and the build to it, and the way, like, I think when we watched the Metro show and just watching him back there, just hitting and just going insane on that. Like that's what I think of when I think of of Jeremy. I think of Dave, and I think of the way that it sounds, and I don't know if you get that build that intense anymore. And I don't even think I know really what a Jack version of Jeremy sounds like. And
It sounds like no Jeremy.
That's the thing. That's the thing. It just kind of, you know, it kind of fell apart. Kind of right. It needed to change. Nobody said Matt with this one. I'll let somebody else go about Dave here.
He adds.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if you listen to the '92 versions, especially when he had the first year he's really with the band, and when that song before it became so popular because of the video, listen to how he's hitting the skins at the part where the story is leading up to its apex, and you start to get the horrible feel of what that drum beat that he's playing means, and it's just chilling. If you listen to that, how he hits those skins on that part, it's absolutely incredible. And it's one of those subtle things that Dave doesn't get a lot of credit for, is how he has some artistic element that is really quite good. And he is always just sort of thought of as Animal back there smacking away. But that's just an incredible feature of that song when he came in the band.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. And what version did you say? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Any version from 1992.
Yeah, sorry. My favorite version of Jeremy would have to be probably Pink Pop 92. Before they go into Jeremy, Eddie sings whatever that rain song is, because it starts raining.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then
very memorable.
Just everything just goes together in a way that I can't describe.
Release is the next song, everybody. Dave is up 7-6-3.
Dave for me for Release.
It looks like we're gonna be back to a tie. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I only see 3. I see like 3 for Dave. I see none for Jack, and I considered putting Jack for this song. Yeah, I think this is another that just matured over time, and you have to kind of give the maturity aspect to when they really kind of became their own after Matt joined the band. Release emotionally hits the hardest in these eras, and Matt he doesn't do anything flashy on it, and he doesn't have to. It just
being able to be dynamic with balancing the soft parts, the loud parts. And we've talked about Dave so many times where he just did not get that. Like he almost ruined the song by playing too hard. So I cannot give this one to Dave. It's got to be Cameron.
Yeah, it's become the communal thing under Matt Cameron's tutelage, whatever you want to call it, right? Yeah. And I know part of that is out of his control with how the crowd is taking it over with the sing-alongs, but I think it's become a different beast. And to your point, Matt plays in the pocket in that song perfectly. He's not overhitting, he's not splash land, he's not snaring like super tight. It's just let the song do its thing and breathe.
Yeah. Laying out is a choice, and that's the right choice.
Yep.
Yes, definitely agree. Okay, this is a good one. This can go any of the 3, I think. I don't know if you guys can see it. Is Whipping.
Ooh.
Dave for me.
I'm looking at all 3 right now.
Yeah. Tough.
I figured that Jack would not get a lot of love with this one. I will count him up though.
Giving Jack.
Put up those votes. Oh, Jack got a couple of late ones here. Ooh, this is going to be very, very close. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for Jack. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 for Dave. 1 for Matt. All right, Jack people. What is it about whipping? And like, to me, it's just the speed and the way that Jack can complement the speed on this. And, you know, they don't play this song now like they used to. It's way more raw. It's way more intense in 1995, 1996. I think Jack has a lot to do with that, but all credit in the world goes to versions with Dave as well, because Dave kind of kickstarted the song, and this was kind of the first of the Vitalogy songs that really sunk into people before the album came out.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jack was the first one to have a chance to really let that song. I mean, yes, they had some pre-Vitalogy versions, and obviously the studio version's amazing. There's some very subtle stuff that Matt does with the bass drum on the studio version that it kind of halfway through the song that's pretty killer. But I think Jack, to your point, had that speed, had that intensity, and he might have been lacking in some of the double bass kind of control stuff, but he makes up for it with just intensity on that song.
All right. 774, that's 18. I only have 3 more. I thought I had 4, so I might be missing one big one, and I apologize for that. But this one, this is too easy for me, but good luck with this. Immortality. I probably don't have to count them. Yeah, this is overwhelmingly. Well, we got a couple of Matts.
Yeah, I'm not sure who I want to go with because I personally don't like Immortality as a song. As
Neither
weird
does Joey.
as that
Hey,
sounds.
you're on the same page.
Young kids.
Oh,
man,
that
they-
hurts my soul.
after-
Oh,
after they get to my-
I'm sorry, dude.
The
I just-
deprogrammed
I'm-
episode hurt everybody's soul. It made it
Talk
You
to
through.
kids
me.
didn't live. You kids
Talk
didn't
to
live
me
through
in 20
Kirkland.
years to see what you say.
That's great.
I'm with him on this song though. It's not one of my favorite Pearl Jam songs.
It just makes me like really, really sad. I can't explain it.
But that means it's working.
Yeah.
But it's
Thank
bad sad though, like really, really bad.
The Piss
Kyle,
Bottle Men shows are the
Waiting acceptance with this one. You're next.
the Piss
I
Bottle
have-
Men shows.
Sorry, what?
I
Sorry,
was
what?
gonna
didn't see that.
I don't know who's even talking anymore. I was gonna say the Piss
Sorry.
Bottle Men shows both nights are the best examples of what you can get from Jack for this song. You can get almost just like this tepid beat that doesn't drive it. It kind of just keeps the groove and it kind of lets them jam a little bit, or he absolutely spontaneously combusts on the song.
I have
Those are the best.
4 words for you. 4 words. Melbourne fucking 98 is the definitive
goddamn
version.
right.
That,
Yeah.
I can't even.
The ending,
It's-
he just took over that ending, and yeah, it becomes something really special.
It's yeah.
What
Yeah,
a
I agree.
phenomenal end to his time with the band.
What were the stats on this one? This was overwhelmingly Jack, I assume.
Yeah, this is like 10-2.
Yeah.
I barely counted.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Immortality to Jack. It's 7-7 to 5. I really there is one that John, text me if you think I missed something really like important here. Because all the rest of the ones are kind of second tier of this. This is another Vitalogy one. Not for you. And then there's one left, but we might have to go to a tiebreaker.
Hey Randy.
Yo.
Don't put me down for anything with Immortality. Can I just
It's okay.
explain a bit
We're moving on, man. It's all
Oh,
good.
good. Sorry.
All right.
Hey,
This
Kyle.
is between.
Can I just real quick? Immortality. Check out March 5th, 1998 Immortality, and let's
Yep.
do Not For You.
Yep, we covered it on the
Yeah.
podcast a couple weeks ago. All right, Jax 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think that's a 10. Dave 2, 3, 4, Jack has made a really good comeback in this. It is now 7-6.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have to go with Matt on Not For You.
Okay. All right. So to the Jack people, why is this a Jack song?
Self-Pollution 95 really just encompasses the song, that hype documentary, that video. That's what got me into Pearl Jam. So that's immediately what I think of.
Great
I
point.
think Eddie was just like feeling it with him. A lot of chemistry, bringing him in, like soothed the band, and I just think like him and Eddie just were just in step, and the two of them together was just perfect.
Yeah, I think the way that Jack took to a lot of these Vitality songs, it was like putting on a glove. Like it just fits so well. Not For You versions in 1995. Boy, I think one of the Salt Lake City versions is fantastic of this. I think there's a San Diego version that's fantastic of this. And the way that they kind of like they build the song and they kind of start off a little bit quiet and then they get louder and louder and louder and they kind of end it's kind of this building this crescendo and then bringing back down and kind of ending with a little bit of mystique too. I think Jack really brought it the best touches of that, but Dave is very intense on this song as well. This was really between Jack and Dave, and it is made 7-6, and the one that I have left could make it a 3-way tie.
Just real quick on Not For You. So
Yeah.
First off, Hartford 96 is which was my first show is ridiculous. But I voted
Hartford
Dave
in the house.
Yeah, I voted Dave because that St. Pete's 94 show, that very early version of it, Dave is just it's a super angry song, and that's to me the perfect angry version, and Dave is crushing it the entire time.
Saturday Night Live too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And those versions early 94 so raw. They just feel like the band is figuring shit out, and that's kind of their way to express it for sure. Okay. Could we make it 7-7? Could we break a tie? This is intense. And I can't believe there's one song that I lost, unless I miscounted somewhere along the line. I will recount. Tremor Christ is our last song. And without this is not, this is not me trying to make a game of this. I love Jack versions of Tremor Christ. And
Jack
everybody seems to agree with me on that.
It seems like these songs are backloaded for Jack.
Absolutely are. Absolutely are.
Did they ever do a better version than Piss Bottle Men?
I don't think so. Both nights were fantastic.
Yeah.
The way that there's no cymbal action. There's no cymbal action going on until they get into the bridge. And it's just pounding toms in it. And it's fierce. It's intense. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. It's almost a little bit anxious, which kind of fits his personality in a way. Incredible. Anytime I hear a Jack version of Tremor Christ, like that's up there. That's top notch. Obviously, Matt didn't play it as much. Dave played it a couple of times, still trying to figure it out. But, obviously he's on the album, does a great job on the album. But again, another one of these Vitality songs that Jack just took to. And ladies and gentlemen, it's a 3-way.
Wow.
We've accomplished nothing.
Is there is there like a cover song that we could do to break the tie? Something that would be objective?
Well, John, I'm looking at your text right now. Yeah. Oh man, there's definitely one song that we missed. All right, we did once. We did Even Flow. We did Alive. We did Why Go, Black, Jeremy, Porch, Release, State of Love and Trust, Go Animal, Daughter, Blood, Rearview Mirror, Last Exit, Spin a Black Circle, Not For You, Tremor Christ, Whipping, Corduroy, Better Man, Immortality. Okay,
I got a good one if you want.
I got a lot right here.
All right,
I got a lot right here. I got some tiebreakers. So
I think it should be a cover song to break the tie.
Well, I got a bunch here, and I don't know if there's only like 1 or 2 cover songs that really would make sense. Maybe Sonic Reducer 2, but I think it has to be done with an original. Okay. I'm going to pick 3 from this pile. In the pile are songs like Leash, Garden, Deep, Indifferent, Yellow Ledbetter, Footsteps, Wash. It could be any of those songs. I think there are 12 to 14 that are in this. There are going to be 3 songs. The one that takes 2 is the winner.
We could end up with another tie.
We could end up with another tie.
We're playing tennis rules.
Glorified version of who plays the song the best.
Oh, it's almost not even fair.
Yeah. Do we even have to vote?
No, I don't think we do. Dave for me.
Dave song,
It's
a couple of Matt votes in there as well. No Jack votes. I think they got sick of it in the the mid 90s. Yeah, this is an early 90s song, and it doesn't quite translate to what Pearl Jam was doing in the 2000s, and really kind of lost its legs. Obviously, I kind of, the glorified version of I Hate That Song, like that was late 95 where they played that version, or 96. I can't remember which year. I think it's one of them. They stopped playing it. Yeah, they stopped playing it after that. It fell out of favor for a reason, because it's just not a Jack song.
Shout out to Dave for playing on a diss track written about him. And he played the shit out of it.
That's true.
I know.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. It's kind of really ironically funny.
All right.
He crushes the song that's about hating him, right?
Yeah.
Hey, that's probably more power to him. That intensity. He's probably thinking to himself, all right, fuck these guys. I'm gonna bring my A game on this one.
I
All
think
right.
he's moved back to Texas again.
Has he moved back to Texas?
His drug charges have been dropped.
All right, here's an interesting one. Oceans.
Oh.
Matt for me.
Yeah, I might agree with that.
Okay. All right. I'm thinking it might be Matt, but I can't. There's been no actual tie in a song. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 for Matt. That's That's pretty much overwhelmingly Matt. 2 for Dave. I see 2 for Jack as well. Yeah, I think this one kind of, after a while, it just grew and blossomed into something bigger, and I think it kind of goes along the same lines as Release, obviously, because it's an opener song, but it developed into something more emotional. When I think Jack kind of helped it evolve a little bit, but Matt was really the one to drive it and to make it special. Not to say that Dave was necessarily bad on it. It's just not his type of song. They wrote it with Dave Cruisin', and it's just one he wants to go out and be that arena rock drummer on it. And
can we give this one to Cruisin' as like an honorable mention?
it is. It could be an honorable mention to Cruisin'. It really should be a Cruisin' song, but it ends up being a Matt song on this. Why Matt for some of you guys?
I think you just hit the nail on the head. I think it's become this very, I mean, it always was, but with Matt's drumming, it's become this very ethereal, moody, it's every bit the mood setter that Release and Hard to Imagine and some of those songs are. I think maybe I'm just biased. I remember the first couple of times I saw it, especially the first time, just being like, holy, just the power of that song. It was like a tidal wave that hit me. I wasn't expecting it.
And again, knowing where to put space and knowing when to not play and knowing when to accent, like that's all stuff that Cameron is number one. He's the best in the business.
A lot of people forget that, and it's just because he allows Ed to do what he does best. He allows the rest of the band.
He makes everybody better.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's all you asked for the drummer to do. It's something that Ringo did the best. And that one gets emotions. I gotta look. This could be a tiebreaker. Oh boy. Oh, all right. I don't know how this is gonna go. Dissident. I said
To
three.
me, the best song Pearl Jam has.
This is one that's been argued. I am not a huge Dissident fan. I like it, but it's just, I don't know. It hasn't lasted with me as long as some of those others. However,
Not
earlier
everybody can
versions, the
play with
better.
it.
Earlier versions, the better for me on this. It looks like Dave, but Jack has a couple. Matt has two. John,
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
know
gonna
what you're
have to
doing
go
over
with
here.
Matt.
I have to like I have to abstain. Like I don't have an opinion.
You don't have an opinion on something.
I don't feel I just don't like the song very much. I don't really feel like it's none of them has ever really jumped out to me with it. So I'm gonna let the people who have opinions decide.
Wait a second. I didn't know that was a choice.
Yeah, it kind of wasn't. Kind
It
of.
doesn't look like it.
I would expect
my
you
fault,
guys.
sir.
I feel like I was
Especially
pressured
on the
into this.
tie-breaking.
To blame for that.
This is
Yeah.
the World Series here. This is Game
Yeah.
7, and you're
Yeah.
just gonna sit on the bench.
No, I'm the manager who's letting the closer.
Oh
take care of it.
bullshit! I've been managing the whole
Vote.
thing.
What you mean you don't
Never.
have an opinion?
If
Everyone's got an
have to-
opinion.
if I have to, I'll go with this guy.
Okay, Carl, you said Matt?
I didn't say Matt.
All right.
Yeah.
I think Dave won this one, and I think it's just because the Versus era and early songs of this are really kind of what stands out. And maybe to me it's because Ed's voice is the best on early 90s versions, and later on in the 2000s it's okay, it's fine, but he doesn't bring it every single time. I always go back to the end of the song where he just kind of lays off of it and doesn't even try to hit that last note at the end. But yeah, he did that back in 93 too, but I think the song was meant for that era. Kind of like Glorified G. This is kind of an unfair.
I think in 93, 94, there were 3 MVPs of that song. You had Ed, you had Mike, and you had Dave. And I think the MVP now is clearly Mike of that song. I think he's the one that still kind of holds it together. But you're right, the power is not there.
I just wanted to put forth the entire group, not to be a pirate, but maybe just to put emotion towards that song not being the one to determine the outcome of this, because there's so much like dissent on if that's even a song to like be worthy of talking about.
All right. Well,
yeah.
Do you guys not want that to be the one that ends this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
No,
I think
All right.
we have to throw
I have some
Dave in.
options here. I have some other options here. I have some options. Let's and we can take a vote for the last song.
Deep,
and it
deep.
has to be fair for everybody. So I got Elderly Woman Behind the Counter in a Small Town. I got Deep, Indifference, Garden, Footsteps.
I think we just agree that all of the drummers are good and that they all had their moments.
And Nothing Man.
But you pulled,
I would
but you
vote
pulled
for,
Dissident out of
Indifference.
the you pulled Dissident
It
out
was
of the
random.
sorting hat.
It was random.
I
It was
know, but-
randomized.
That's what I'm saying. It came
I
out of the
think-
sorting hat.
Why don't you put Randy? Why don't you put those in the sorting hat? Pick one and let's
That's what I'm
call it.
okay.
We
All right.
already we did.
Yeah, let's
kinda
do
did.
that.
All right.
Didn't just
Because
suck.
everybody was kind of upset with the ending here. It was kind of fell flat. John didn't vote. All right.
Yeah,
the
I ended up
last
voting
song-
for
Oh, yeah.
Jack. I voted for Jack.
The last song, and I'm cheating a little bit because I know what I want to pick for the last song, because it has to be a last song. Fuck it, I can't find the tag. Indifference.
I'm pulling for Just a Girl. Oh, Indifference instead. All right.
All right, good choice.
I would give Matt Chamberlain Just the Girl.
Indifference, huh?
This is pretty overwhelmingly Matt. A couple for Jack in there, one for Dave.
Yeah, Matt for me.
Yeah, I look, I think this at first when they started closing with this, it didn't really kind of garner that crowd reaction that it does now, because it's just not that, I don't want to say enthusiastic of a live song back then, but when you hear Ed sing it, like, he's very desolate. It almost doesn't go anywhere. It's supposed to not go anywhere, but it kind of ends on almost a down point. When Matt does it, it becomes a celebration of the night in a different way than Yellow Ledbetter is a celebration of the night. And I think Matt does have some to do with that. I think Jeff has a lot to do with that when he comes in with the bass, and it kind of feels a little bit more upbeat when the crowd sings along. I'll drink the poison until I grow immune. Like, I think
it's Matt creating that space and giving the song room to breathe and everything. Absolutely.
Yep. So what we have here is love for all three drummers. There was no clear winner. I'm going to have to say that Matt and Dave both had 9 and Jack had 7. And
that tracks. I mean, that kind of fits in with the narrative.
It really does. And I applaud this group here for sticking to their guns and really kind of like defending their opinions instead of just just being for Matt or for Dave or for Jack, like just defending their favorite drummer, because a lot of people tend to do that. This whole purpose was to squash that and to end that. And I hope that we, for the listener, for the viewer in this, accomplish that and got the sense of how each drummer fits with the band in their history. And look, there's even more to it. Look, if we wanted to do just a Matt versus Jack on No Code and Yield, we could end up doing that, and that there might be a lot of arguments for it, but like, this was a really good representation of who the band is and what the fans think of the drummers. I don't know how to end it. So you guys did a fantastic job. I thank everybody here. Yeah. I thank everybody for watching on YouTube. If you want to support the show, we're live on Four Legs Podcast. You can subscribe to us on
the drummers.
You can subscribe to us on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. Please enjoy the show. Subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/live on Four Legs. Contribute to us. We do a lot of exclusive episodes. A lot of what we did in the Evolution episodes that we do are a lot of these conversations that we have. These are stuff that we've repeated. Those are all on Patreon. Hit us up. We're very close to 100 patrons at this point. Patreon.com/live on Four Legs to become one. And hey, maybe the first, and even for the people that aren't patrons in this group, if you sign up to be a Giggle Leg patron today, I will send you brand new Live on Four Legs mask that I just had printed up. They're the same as before. Joey's wearing one. They're awesome. They're comfortable. For anybody that subscribes to Patreon in this group, mask goes out to you. And we'll have more for those that are patrons. These are for you too. Like, these are for everybody that's a part of it. So, and for people that are watching at home, that'll be part of the Patreon package if you decide to join up. So thank you everybody for tuning in, and hopefully we squashed all of your opinions that you once had of all the drummers. And if not, then, well, fuck your favorite drummer. Bye.
Peace.
See